Nick and I are so excited to announce a new sponsor of the How to Film Weddings podcast.
That is Core Financial. John has used them for a couple years for doing his books and his taxes and his financial planning. I was talking to him about this time last year and he recommended Core to me, and I have been using them for all of 2019. Guys, girls, people listening, what is probably the most stressful thing that you have to deal with regularly in your business? I'm going to go ahead and say that it's books, taxes, and accounting, all of that. Would you agree, John?
100%. And having the team, Jeremy and the team over at Core, as basically another member of my team, an extension of my team, I've been able to focus on what really matters, and that's running my business and taking care of clients. So we are just so pumped to have an option for you out there. They're nationwide. And so if you're interested, definitely check them out. We're going to have episodes with them on soon, but we just wanted to jump on here before the episode to tell you how excited we are, and stay tuned for more from Core Financial.
And if you would like more information about Core and what they can do for you, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/core, and you can find out all of the information about them doing bookkeeping, about them doing your taxes, about them giving you a financial plan so that you should know if you should spend money in your business or not in the following months. It's a great investment. Yes, it costs some money, but it's going to save you so much money in the long run by hiring a company like this. We are so excited to have Core on board as one of our sponsors.
Whenever I'm selling a new bride, I'm not desperate for her booking, so I can come off genuine, I can come off respectful, and it doesn't feel like I'm trying to get them to book me today and I'll do all this extra stuff. And so
exactly.
if you're in a place of desperation, that's no bueno.
Hello and welcome to the How to Film Weddings podcast. My name is Nick Miller and I am joined, as always, by Mr. Sticky Buns, John Bunn. John, my friend, how are you doing today?
I'm doing exceptionally well. I'm wearing my Oklahoma City Thunder jacket. Oklahoma City Thunder have been playing well lately, even though I didn't think they would be. It's really cold outside, so I bundled up today. I'm really in a good mood because I don't know if you know, something happens in like 1 week.
1 week from the droppingness of this podcast, we are launching, the cart opens for the Complete Wedding Videography course. That is CompleteWeddingVideography.com. We are so excited about it. We've been working on it for like 30 years, actually like 6 months, but it just feels like that. We've been working so hard on it. We are so excited for you guys to get this and learn from us, and we know it will really, really help your business.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because my wife and I know you and Jen, we've just been dreaming about this and talking about it for so long. Finally when we were able to tell people a month ago that we were doing the course, that felt like a huge relief. And now it's like this countdown timer to, this course being out there. And it's literally everything that we know when it comes to running a business, to shooting weddings, to editing weddings. I'm watching back through some of the course, and I mean, it is unbelievable, the information that is out there for you all in one spot, down to, booking more, high-end weddings. Yes. Setting up your business. Yes. But we walk through every single part of the entire wedding day. I was watching back because when you record something like this, you're recording for 50 hours or 60, whatever
it was crazy.
You're going through your notes and you're communicating and you're like, what, is this going to be good? And you're in this, when you're recording, you kind of feel like you're watching it happen instead of it being there. And so going back this week and looking through the content and seeing, wow, this is, good advice for how to get good footage of a bride getting ready. And wow, this is great advice for how to get exterior shots of the building or to get the audio at the reception. And there's just so many layers to this content. People keep asking us does it include this? And it's yes, it includes that. It teaches you, what we're thinking about the whole day of shooting. It also is me behind the scenes on a full day at a wedding. It's an almost 3-hour video where I brought my friend Chris to film me as I was walking through getting my gear ready for the day, shooting all day. I'm cutting away and like teaching as I'm doing it. Just that video alone, if I would have had that whenever I first started, it would have saved me years of time. And so watching that whole day, watching this content, and then what I'm really excited is the stuff that Nick has been doing. Nick, tell him a little bit about the editing side of this course.
Yeah, so within the editing section, we take a lot of theoretical things and some practical things and just kind of talk you through it. But one thing that we wanted to include was me actually editing an entire wedding video, which I have done. I am putting together. It is well over 10 hours of content. Added some stuff to it. It was 8. Now it's over 10. So much stuff. I go from organizing and culling my footage all the way through uploading to YouTube and IGTV. The whole gamut, everything. You see how my wife does all of our color. You see how I add in our B-roll. It is so much. It's a ton of stuff that we know it will really help you in your editing.
I watched the first 30 minutes of it, and so what's cool about what Nick and I, like when we started this podcast, I was like, Nick, I need help editing. And Nick was like, I need help with business. And so, we're each kind of watching different portions of this. And I was watching what Nick did for the editing side. And like, I kept texting him like, oh my goodness, I didn't know I could do this in my, my editing software. Oh my goodness, this is going to save me so much time. And that's what we wanted this to be for you. This course, we wanted it to be something that didn't just say, here is the secret to making $100,000 as a wedding videographer. Instead, we wanted to basically hand you a shovel and say, this is a tool. Now go start working with it. This is, a hammer. It's a tool, and it's everything. The whole toolbox is full now with all of the different pieces that you really need to run your business. It is a complete business in a box. If you're somebody that is in your first few years especially, this is going to fill in the gaps and the holes for all of the different things in your business. But even if you've been in business for a while, if you listen to our podcast and you get any, if you're listening and you're like, wow, I learned something, if there's little things that you're getting, this course, a $2,400 course, if you can get one thing, out of it, which we know you'll get way more than that, it will exponentially pay for itself. And for the launch week, we're having this course open for 1 week, and then we're going to close the cart. So this first time we launch the course, we will launch it again in the future. We're not sure if it's this year. We're not sure if it's going to be a little bit, early next year. We just don't know how many people are going to sign up, but we want to keep the group small because we're having a Facebook group that is specifically for people that have purchased this course. So for this first launch week, though, we are giving this at $600 off, which makes it $1,800 for the full course.
Yeah. So John and I can sit here and talk for a really, really long time about this course because we are so excited about it. But I'm sure you're thinking, yeah, but you guys are selling it and you guys made it. So, is it really as good as you say it is? One thing, we wanted to put our money where our mouth was. And if you go to CompleteWeddingVideography.com right now, you can actually get a free section of the course to watch and to preview. And you can see if we actually do know what we're talking about, to see if it is worth its money. And TJ actually wrote a little review and left us this after watching the free section on consultations. And he said, I'll be honest here, I signed up thinking that it was another nonsense masterclass concept, but 10 minutes in and I'm hooked. It has already helped me realize the biggest mistake I make during my meetings. Yes, that's just in 10 minutes. Thanks, guys, and looking forward to watching the next chapter series. So here's a guy, we didn't pay him to say that. Like he said it, he watched it. We probably should, but he went to CompleteWeddingVideography.com, got the free section, and that was his review. 10 minutes in, changed his business, and he knows that he can do consultations better and make more money from that. So again, that's CompleteWeddingVideography.com, and you can sign up to get that free course right now.
Yeah, and
that free section of the course.
The free section of the course that section is not 5 minutes long. I think it's over 40 minutes long.
It's close to 45. Yeah, it's close to 45.
Yeah, it's breaking down everything that we do in our consultations. We are able to go really deep on it and really start, helping you build a foundation for being confident in your sales and getting more bookings. That is a huge topic, Nick. And that's one of the things we want to talk about today. But just as a reminder, if you go over to that link, grab that free section. It's our gift to you. You don't have to buy the course. Just go watch it and see if that's something that you're interested in. We know for sure that you're going to love this. We know it so much that we are actually doing something that I don't know if I've ever seen with a course before. And this is, just our promise to you, but a full 30-day money back, no questions asked guarantee. If you don't like the content, send us an email. I'll pull out my wallet. Nick will pull out his wallet. We'll pay you right back. It's just that's how
John's
we feel
wallet.
about it. Okay, just my wallet. 30 days. Watch the whole course. If you don't feel like the information was worth it, we've spent almost 10 minutes just talking about what's in the course. There's so much in the course that we still haven't even mentioned, but check it out all over there at CompleteWeddingVideography.com. One thing though, Nick. Go ahead.
No, what was your one thing? I want to hear it.
I want to move into what we want to talk about today. So
Yeah.
if you have something else to say.
No, I was just going to say now this 10-minute commercial is over. Okay.
Yeah, because we care that much about it.
We do. But now we want to get in and talk about our topic for the day, as it is the beginning of the year and people are looking ahead. They're trying to plan. A lot of people are in the off season right now. Not as many weddings happen across the country, typically between, December and March time period. And so people are just looking ahead and thinking, and I'm sure that there's a lot of people right now that are looking at their schedules and they are looking at the weddings that they have on the books and they're thinking, this seems kind of light. I'm not as busy as many weekends as I was last year, or, I'm charging more, but not as many people are booking me and I'm really feeling that or something. So we wanted to take some time today and just talk about this topic and maybe some things that we can help you if your bookings happen to be low.
Yeah, and it's happened to me, it's happened to Nick, where, you get to a certain point and you look up, we're working in our business so much that sometimes we forget to be working on our business. And, simply put, what kinds of things are you doing to make sure that your business is growing and healthy, not just that you're getting your tasks done. And as, solopreneurs or, you may have two people on your team, you've got to wear different hats. And so, I've looked up before and been like, it was like November and it was like, oh my goodness, I'm backlogged and I don't have another wedding till May. I remember every year thinking like December, January, February, please God, just like give me a booking, anything. I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yes.
Like I will literally go film a hockey game. I will like just anything I need money. And after years and years of doing this and having low bookings, I started to realize a trend. I have more data now with 13 years of doing this where it's like, oh, I get low in my bookings around this time. I need this many weddings. And so, whenever Nick and I were talking about, this subject, we get a lot of messages from people that they're like, hey, my bookings are low. What should I do? How should I do this? And so that is the topic for today for sure. What to do when your bookings are low.
Yeah. So the first thing that we want to share with you when it comes to this is you need to be paying attention to your numbers. You need to know your numbers. And we mean bookings wise, we mean money wise, we mean this is when the deposit is coming in. This is when payment 1, payment 2, payment 3, all of that stuff is coming in. And so that you can kind of have a running total. If you realize in February that you're out of money at the end of February, that's that's a bigger problem, okay? Because you haven't been paying attention to all the stuff that is going on with your money and your books and all of that. So you really need to pay attention. We actually do in our template shop on howtofilmweddings.com, we do have a budget guide that can help you kind of plan out and look forward ahead. And what this does is you plug in the numbers, and then it shows you kind of quarter by quarter how much money you have coming in, how much you're getting each month, how much is going out each month. So in February, you can look and see, okay, I'm going to be out of money or really, really low on money by May. So now I have February to May to try and drum up some business, get some more bookings so that I know I will be okay, later on in the year. Also, I don't know if you do this, John, but sometimes typically I have 3 payments for a wedding. I do the retainer and then somewhere halfway and then about a month before the wedding. And I don't know how many times about you, I have gotten my retainer and then I'm looking forward to and I forget, oh no, I'm running out of money. And I forget that a $3,000 payment is coming in. And I was so stressed about it. And then it hits. And I'm like, oh, thank you, God. But at the same time, if I would have been paying attention, I wouldn't have had that stressful time period, in my life, because I would have known my numbers and been looking ahead. So that is the number one thing that we really want to communicate to you is when it comes to your booking, if you're paying attention to your numbers now when you don't have money, you're a little behind. So you need to get something in place so you can start tracking that stuff so that you can plan for what's coming ahead.
Yeah, and if it's even just something as simple as just a simple spreadsheet where you put in, January, February, March, all the way, through the year, and then put the deposits that are coming in. And if you're getting ready to book another wedding, okay, now let's do that. And so one thing that I did, especially with that budget overview that we have in our shop, is that it shows me the whole year at a glance, and it shows me what's in my bank account right now. It shows me all of this data, which helps me to make better decisions. And one of those decisions that I realized after a few years, and we can get into this a little bit more, but those numbers, if I notice that a month is low, I can make sure when I book another wedding that like a bride makes a payment in that month. So for instance, as we're recording this in January of 2020, I have like 8 weddings that are happening this summer that I scheduled a January and a February payment in because I don't have any weddings until March. And so instead of freaking out, I have money coming in, a good chunk of money coming in January and in February. And so, the brides and grooms that I've worked with, whenever I make a payment schedule, they just follow it. I don't break it down and say, okay, there's going to be 6 payments. I just say, here's the payment schedule. Let me know, sign. Like they just make the payments. They don't care.
To them, it's normal. Like it's status quo. They're not looking at what another client is like. They don't know what someone else is doing. They don't know or care that you're having them pay in January, but someone else making that same payment isn't happening till March. Like they don't care. They don't know. So if you're looking ahead, you can schedule that.
Yep, but if you're waiting till you're out of money, it's too late. And then what happens is kind of the next point is you can start to come across as desperate. And so, if you're desperate, you start doing dumb things. If you're, in a business, it's referred to a lot, cash is oxygen. If you start getting low on oxygen and you can't breathe, you start making some like rash decisions just to get more oxygen. Like you would do whatever it takes to get that oxygen. Yes. And so if you're not thinking about it and you're underwater and you don't have any oxygen, you can't last for very long. And so imagine that. And so being desperate, though, is the worst place to be when trying to get more money. If you think about it, a salesman that is desperate to sell you something makes you feel uncomfortable. But somebody that has money in their bank account, like whenever I'm selling a new bride, I'm not desperate for her booking, so I can come off genuine, I can come off respectful, and it doesn't feel like I'm trying to get them to book me today and I'll do all this extra stuff. And so if you're in a place of desperation, that's no bueno. Don't get there. Do not get to a place of desperation. And so the only way to do that, and if you're in a place of desperation right now, you kind of have to fake it till you make it and make sure that you don't come across as desperate. And we're going to go through some things to get some new bookings and give you some ideas because we've been there before. But, you don't want to be in a place, you have to like separate that when you're getting ready to go into a sales call or talking to somebody. If you are in a place of desperation, to the point where if I could do it again whenever I was first starting, I would have gotten a part-time job in certain months. I would have figured out some seasonal work so I wasn't desperate, because I know that I came across, I know I ruffled feathers of people that were in my, my city from just like undercutting or doing, just like whatever I needed to do to get some, booking, because I had to feed my family. Do you remember that wedding from a month ago? Yeah, like that one that you needed to start editing yesterday? But you also need to prep today for your wedding tomorrow, and you're leaving for your first vacation in forever on Monday. So what do? It seems that the only creative part of your edits are the excuses you're going to have to give your clients. We have the solution, Wedditor. Wedditor is a team of top wedding editors, project managers, and account coordinators that help us wedding filmmakers edit. They match the right editors with your style so you can spend your time where it matters most, on your business. Nick and I both use Wedditor, and we don't know how we would run our companies without them. It takes a team to build an amazing business, and you shouldn't try to do it all on your own. Head over to howtofilmweddings.com/Wedditor to help you free up your time so that you can focus on growing your brand. Be sure to use promo code HTFW for $50 off your first project. Wedditor, more than freelance, more than outsourcing.
Right. All right. And so those are things to keep in mind. Another thing that you can do if you are low on bookings is take an honest look at your pricing at your packages. Okay. Find someone else in the industry. Maybe you have someone that you're close with in your city that you bounce ideas off of. Share your packaging with them. Or maybe you have someone that you've met online in our How to Film Weddings Facebook group. You could maybe find them in there. Facebook.howtofilmweddings.com if you want to join. And you can talk to them and bounce ideas off about pricing. A few things that you could be experiencing is that your prices are just too high for your area. That's one thing that's kind of I have learned, maybe the error in my ways is the common response whenever you see someone work is, oh, raise your prices. Oh, raise your prices. And so you listen to them and you raise your prices. But the problem is they don't know your area. They don't know your market. They don't know anything like that. So just to raise your prices willy-nilly because you want to make more money, that may or may not be the best idea. So you could be too expensive. The other thing is you might be too cheap. I mean, it's possible that people are overlooking you because you're more expensive than the cheap guys, but not as expensive as the expensive guys. And so they might be overlooking you because your pricing is just right there in the middle and you're neither hot nor cold. Okay. Or maybe with your pricing, you are maybe priced correctly. You're just not including enough in your package. So it's like in the area, let's say $4,000 for everyone else gets you a highlight film, a ceremony, toasts, and doc edits, and all you're doing is highlight film for that amount. Okay, you can understand why maybe people are going to your competitors rather than you based on what you are offering in your packages. So you just need to have a good look at that, and it would really help you if you could bounce another professional, bounce ideas off of them and get their input.
Yeah, and I mean, we've done workshops, we've done different things where it's like we can, in our Facebook group where we have pricing review type things. So definitely jump over to our facebook.howtofilmweddings.com. And we do that about once a month, kind of a pricing review or a website review, which, when you're thinking about your pricing and your packaging, Nick, you're exactly right. I think a lot of us jump on a group where we don't know anybody and say, look at should I raise my prices? Shouldn't I? And there are a lot more factors that go into it than just the work that you're like the one video that you're showing, or some parts of the world, it's expected to get a 50-minute video of the day, or and so like you have to know your market, you have to know how to serve them the best, and then you can start fine-tuning things. Where I'm at in my market, I am able to charge $6,500 as my base rate, but I've done something over the last 13 years that I want to talk about next, and that is your branding and the way that you infuse you into your brand and what people think of whenever they think Redeemed Productions or Wild Oak Films or fill in the blank with your company name. When we talked with Ray Roman, I know one of the things that he said that stood out to me was if a big wedding is coming to town, and a wedding planner is going to reach out to the top 2 or 3 wedding videographers in your city, are you on that list? And, I had to really look, and it's like, I am on that list, which is good because if a big wedding comes to town, they're interested at least in me. But to get to that point, I had to do a lot of things differently. I had to have a logo that felt like me and felt high end. My website had to look a certain way. And then I had to really start building over time on my social media, on my Facebook, on my Instagram, on my YouTube, building a persona around me, the videographer, me, the cinematographer, whatever you want to call me, where you may watch my films and say, yeah, they're really good, but they're not forestry films, or they're not sculpting with time, and that's fine with me because they're not in my market and they're brilliant minds. And I think we compare ourselves to the greatest of the greatest whenever, in our markets, if you're producing really high quality stuff, they're going to think you're the best person in the world. And if you can then pair it with the branding side of things, where people now, I've said no to so many weddings that were in the $3,000 to $4,000 range, and I only say yes to the weddings that I know really fit my brand, which to me is a luxury market in Tulsa. All of the weddings that I can get that are in the expensive, that they're spending a ton, they're doing their ballrooms, that's what I want, and I've defined that. And so if somebody's like, yeah, I hired Redeemed Productions, people are like, oh, wow, okay. That's a big deal. They know that you spent a lot on me. And so over time that's happened. I couldn't just start out and say, I'm new here, I charge $10,000. Right. And so building your brand, I want to hear a little bit about branding for you, Nick, because I always look up to the way that you do your branding.
Yeah. So what we have done is we had, kind of wrote out, who our client was and who we wanted to serve and the types of weddings that we wanted to shoot. And then everything that we do really funnels through that idea. We want to infuse ourselves as much as we can. This last week we actually did a poll, and it was Nick or Jen. And we just asked a bunch of questions about, who's a picky eater, Nick or Jen? It's me. Who likes to go camping, Nick or Jen? And I know I have a really big beard, but it's Jen. All of those kind of things. And that type of interaction, at least on social media, goes over very, very well because people want to know you. So whenever you put you in your brand, you in your stuff, that's really going to set you apart, and people want to work with you because you're a person. Whenever we had Max Sadek on a few weeks ago, he was talking about he was looking for a video person for a course launch that he wanted to do. And he said he got this list of, 50 or so videographers, and he went to all their websites and he was like, this guy's good. This guy's good. This guy's good. And he said before long, everything kind of was mushed together. But as soon as he started reading their About Me pages and started reading who the people behind the cameras are, he was like, then my decision became very, very easy. So we want to put as much of us into your brand so that people will want to buy you and then get your work. So if bookings are low, things to consider, look at your numbers. Okay, if you're desperate for money, it's going to come across that way and people will be able to sniff something out. Check your packages, check your pricing, make sure it's not too high or it's not too low, or you are offering the right amount of stuff. And then look at your branding. How is all of that fitting together? Which leads us into our question of the day, presented by Wedditor. More than freelance, more than outsourcing. And we're just going to spend the rest of the time talking about this question. What do you do when your bookings are low? It's our question of the day.
Question.
Such a good question. We have seen it over and over again. And there's certain people you talk to like, oh, 2021 is going to be the best year I've ever had. Other people are like, I can't get anyone to respond to an email. So it's just kind of all over the map. So we wanted to do was talk to you about 5 things to do that you can do today if your bookings are low and how to maybe get some more bookings. So John, why don't you start with this?
Yeah. So the first one, and I think that this comes down to that whole crockpot method, slow and steady, building your business over time. You should be throughout the year building relationships with people. And so the first one, on the list whenever we were writing these out, the first thing I would do today if I were low on bookings, that's kind of how I felt like if I put myself in those shoes again, being low, knowing what I know, the first thing I would do is I would definitely reach out to venues and vendors that I love working with and see if they have any couples booked in some of the months that I'm slow or in some months that I'm pretty open later in the year because I take a $2,000 retainer. Back then it was a $500 or $1,000 retainer. And so getting a few of those, getting some money in my pocket, that is a huge win for me. So reaching out to some of these venues and vendors and not being desperate, but offering them service and saying, hey, how can I, I'm looking at my calendar for the year. 2019 was amazing. I loved working with you. I want to make that happen again. What is it that you see, maybe wedding planners or venues or, what do you think that I could offer to you or your bride specifically that would make them very interested in me? I'm not looking for a kickback or I'm not any of that. I'm just reaching out, to venues and planners for sure. I've sent special pricing to planners saying, hey, this is my full price, but this is the, fill in the blank planner name packages for the year. So if you have anybody that would be interested, I'm willing to work with you. You make my job way easier. Same thing with the venues. And I'm just spending my time reaching out and just following back up. And I still kind of do that once a quarter or so instead of in a place of desperation. But if I'm looking like right now, I have 15 weddings booked this year, so I'm not really pushing. But, I've still reached out to all my planner friends and said, here's, the pricing, and just staying in connection with them and seeing if they have anybody just being top of mind because spoiler alert, they're busy running their business as a solopreneur as well, usually. Besides the venues, usually it's a wedding planner that hires assistants for the day or, it's a photographer that's down, in their computer editing all day. And so, being a person that is like a breath of fresh air instead of just reaching out saying, hey, I need bookings. It's just, how can I help you? I loved working with you. Here's some, and so that's the kind of relationship that I'm for sure the first thing I'm doing if bookings are low. I saw you had your hand up a minute ago, Nick. Sorry.
I was going to say a few years ago when we were kind of low, we did this exact same thing. We reached out to a couple photographers and a planner that we really liked. And we said, we love working with you. Your weddings are fun. You are fun. That sort of thing. We think that you're some of the best in town. So what we're going to do is if a client, for the next month or two, if a client books you and us, we will give them $200 off of our services. Okay. And so, $200, if you're, charging 25 or 3,000, that's really not a lot of money, comparatively. And so, you're just giving that a little, and then it makes, their clients to them when they're passing along your name, you're like, oh, he's giving you a $200 discount if you book with them. So that's something that you do. I wouldn't personally throw that out there in the world necessarily. I would pass that on to your photographers and your planners and let them know, hey, if you want to pass this on, that would be really, really helpful. So that's the first one. Reach out to venues, planners, photographers, specifically those 3 I think are going to be the main source. Reaching out to a florist could be beneficial to you. It's just in the booking process, I don't think a florist is going to have as much pull or weight as someone like a planner or a photographer or even the venue. So,
and I would throw it in there. I've gotten a couple of really good relationships with florists that have gotten me bookings, some of these higher end ones. But the point is, be a cool, it makes sense to start with venues, photography. But if you have a special relationship with somebody and you've worked well, like being friendly with those kinds of people, that kind of networking is going to pay off
sure
for you.
Sure.
So.
I'm not saying that they can't get that. I'm just saying the likelihood and all of that's all I meant. So
it's
the
very
next
true.
thing, yes. So the next thing, number 2, is create content and then run ads against that content or run ads with that content. And with having Max on the podcast recently and him kind of going through what he would do with all this stuff, you need to go back and listen. What was that? 81? 82? 82?
I'll pull it up while you're talking.
Yeah. I think it was 82. Anyways, one of the things that 82. He suggests, 82, podcast 82, you want to go back and listen to that with Max. One of the things that he would suggest doing is going in and writing blog posts of helpful content, the best venues in town, what the timeline of your wedding day should look like, what you should think about when hiring a photographer or videographer, why you should hire a planner, that sort of information. So it's just helpful content, and you're not really asking them to book with you, but you're sharing this information, and then you're creating specific ads that are running on Facebook, that are running on Instagram, that are giving people this free information. So then whenever they start looking for a videographer, really there is that info ahead of them. So go back and listen to that episode. Also 37 was the other one that he was on, and marketingbymax.com. If you go there, you can join his Facebook group, and he has tons of information about ads.
Yeah, and for people that are out there that are like, well, that doesn't work or whatever, here's the thing. If your bookings are low, you need to focus on getting in front of bride and groom eyeballs.
Yes.
And so if you, yes, you should share your work. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Every time you post a video, on your Facebook or Instagram,
yes.
You should be trying, if you need more bookings, you should be running $5 to $50 worth of ads, on each one of those easily. But then just some simple things I've been thinking about since the episode with Max, some of Tulsa's top wedding venues, and then creating a paragraph just about booking venues, and then say, here's some of our favorites, the Mayo Hotel, and then YouTube embedded video of mine. Okay, Dresser Mansion, this, Southern Hills Country Club, this, and then running ads and letting those venues know, hey, you're featured in this, and those venues will maybe share your info. And that doesn't necessarily get you a booking today, but if you had this strategy with something like that for 12 months, I know that's a long time, but if you constantly had, if you wrote 12 really good articles in 2020 and then spent maybe $2,000 of your money over the whole year. These are random numbers, but some of them are venues, some of them are checklists for your wedding day, downloadable PDFs or whatever. You're grabbing you can get their information and then get them into your ecosystem. If you have their email address, you can then send them little helpful tips. And oh, by the way, here's a photographer that you might like working with. Do you like dark and moody photography? Here's 3 of our favorite in town. Just being a source for people, they're like, wow, that company knows their stuff. And then when it's time for them to book video, what do you know? They're going to reach out to you. But if you're in that place of desperation, this isn't going to help you in one day. This is a campaign. This is marketing. This is advertising.
Right. So that's really absolutely true. This is stuff that's going to take time, but again, if you spend the time when you're kind of low, it could consistency compounds. You continue to do this, and you will be able to grow from doing these kind of things, just being a help. How do you deliver your wedding films? Dropbox? Disk? A subscription service that is way too expensive? We have the answer for you. Wedflow. Wedflow is a cloud-based digital delivery system that we love. I personally have been using Wedflow for months, and I can't get over how great of a service it is. First off, Wedflow is pay per project. That's right, you only pay for the data that you need. Wedflow uses a premium viewing experience accessible on all modern devices and playback up to 4K. With custom branding and theming, wedding filmmakers can deliver an experience that's truly on brand from start to finish. Head to howtofilmweddings.com/wedflow and upload your first project for as little as $1 per gigabyte. Wedflow, a whole new take on wedding film delivery.
We know the time suck that is searching for the perfect song for your wedding film. MusicBed has spent years collaborating with artists, bands, and composers to make it easier than ever for anyone to find the right song for their video.
With amazing artists like Chapters, Tony Anderson, and The Light, The Heat, MusicBed is the best place for wedding videographers to get licensed music.
Their subscription service was a life changer for me, especially since all of their subscription music is pre-cleared for every social media platform: Facebook, Instagram, Love Stories TV, and my personal favorite, YouTube, all pre-cleared.
And if you are interested in a free month of a MusicBed wedding subscription, head over to howtofilmweddings.com/musicbed. When you sign up, use the promo code HTFW and you will get your first month for free. The next thing we want to talk about is you could run a special or a promotion, a contest, something like that. So, you could go ahead and put it out there in the world. Hey, now until Valentine's Day, we're giving $500 off to the first 2 people that book. And just kind of throwing it out there. So that's going to be your special, something like that. Try to put in some urgency there to let people to do it. I will let you know whenever you have stuff like that, it doesn't always, but it can mean that people are going to devalue your service because you're just automatically taking all this money up front without anything. So just know that ahead of time. And then another thing you could do is some sort of a promotion or a contest, or a special instead of money off. You could do, hey, book with me up through Valentine's Day, and then you will get a free engagement shoot, or something like that. So you're giving away something, but you're not giving away money. Okay, that could be something you do. And then a contest, hey, everyone on our Instagram that likes and shares this, we will give a free engagement session or a love story or, something like that, and just kind of hopefully drum up some business by taking some money off, adding something, or just something totally for free. All they need to do is enter.
Yeah, and on the contest thing, you can pair up with other vendors in town.
Sure.
You want to create, and again, I'm in a little bit different of a position where I'm not just trying, my branding is I don't want to put myself out there as much. I want it to feel exclusive. And so if you're in a position and listening to this, I need bookings. I need people to know that I exist.
Yes.
Great way to do that, and I've done it before, is say, hey, I'm going to pair up with a photographer and a venue or whatever, or a restaurant, and offer a date night. If you're engaged, we're giving away a free date night. You foot the bill. You put $100 on a gift card to a steakhouse in town. You put another $50 on a movie gift card, and you say dinner and a movie on us. All you have to do is follow Redeem Productions, follow Peyton Rainey Photography, follow Mayo Hotel, and then we're going to do a giveaway. Share this, tag anybody that's engaged. Those kinds of things for $100, you can get so much exposure. And so you don't have to think, I can either do a Facebook ad or give away the farm, or give away money off of these are just suggestions when it comes to promotions, contests. Get creative, and the better relationships you have in the community, the more that you're going to benefit from that. So that's number 3, run a special, a promotion, a contest. The next thing that I want to talk about, and I've done a lot of these, bridal shows, bridal fairs, bridal expos, whatever you want to call them. In every major city in the United States, for sure. I'm not as familiar with other countries as I am here, but
You're not?
I know. Well, I pretty much know everything about Italy, of course, because I was there for 8 days.
3 days.
And then I know pretty much everything about Belgium because I was there for 15 minutes connecting. So besides those 3 places, that's funny. Bridal shows, though,
yes,
love them, hate them. If the topic of this question, what do I do if bookings are low? Now, if you go into a bridal show, and we should probably have a specific episode just on bridal shows, but the gist would be signing up for a bridal show that has a lot of people doing something to grab their attention and grab their information, maybe a giveaway, maybe a promotion, whatever, but like being in front of that many brides so quickly, most of them are not going to say, oh, I want to book you for my video today. But if you have something that compels them in to watch, to introduce you to them, give them, your information, grab some of theirs. Usually bridal shows will give you an email address of everybody and a phone number of everybody.
Yep.
And you don't have to be Spambot 2000 with these lists, but you can for sure, I got you on that. Sorry about that, Nick. But like you can take these lists. Most people just send a blanket email once, like the Monday it comes out, and say, hey, I'm John Bunn with Redeem Productions. Book me. Here's $500 off. Instead of, I have now created a campaign that's 12 weeks within an email campaign, where you start with that content that you've made. Hey, saw you at the bridal show. Just wanted to give you some helpful information. Here's 12 venues in town that you might not know about. Budgets, 5,000 and up, 2 to 5,000, 0 to 5, whatever it is. Produce some content and zero free budget wedding, get married at a friend's house. I don't know. But like the thing is if you're thinking through that content, they're immediately going to think of you as an expert, and not every single one of them is going to book you. I mean, how many weddings do you want to book? The big companies are doing like 200 a year. And how many, I think in Tulsa last year, there was like 40,000 weddings. It's like, I mean, there's just too many. And so, these bridal shows can be huge for you. If you don't come across as Spambot, if you don't, you can have a nice booth that's not crazy. You can get to know other people at these, and getting yourself out there. For a long time when I was, 7-8 years into the business, I would do every bridal show just to be on top, like the top of mind for other vendors. And I wouldn't even care if I booked a wedding from it. I was just promoting, it's $1,000 or so. And to be in front of 50 more vendors, go meet new people, get their cards, just interact, shoot them a direct message on Instagram after it's over. Like there's so much you can be doing by doing bridal shows. Have you ever done a bridal show, Nick?
I've done one. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So booked nothing at the actual bridal show, which isn't uncommon, but within the 2 weeks following it, we booked 7 or 8. And
They work.
They do work. And again, the one in Wichita is the second weekend in January. And so that's kind of, heightened inquiry booking kind of time, in a lot of places is the beginning of the year. So it could have been a combination of things, but I think it was very helpful. For us in our business, we have gotten to a price point where I don't think many people are going to pay for us at bridal shows.
Yeah, and I hear that a lot in the groups. It's like, well, yes, people are on a budget, but I have booked big weddings at bridal shows. It doesn't mean that they're not there.
They're not.
People that are there spending money, if you do your booth right, they can really tell that you're a step above somebody else. And so there's definitely in the position
it's all branding.
Yeah, the position I'm in my business, I don't need it, but I've still considered doing them just because I just want to be in front of people. But already being at 15 weddings, and 15 was kind of my goal. I'm sure I'll get to 20 this year without really pushing. Yeah. But if you're in a position where you have low bookings, this is a great place for you. I want to say one story, and I think I may have said this on the podcast before. I'm not sure.
I want to hear it.
But in 2010, in February, the second month of me being full-time in my business, my wife and I signed up for a bridal show. I put it on a credit card. We almost killed each other getting the sign hung up.
That's the story I've heard.
But I was like, you need to leave right now. We're about to be in a fight. I couldn't get it even. But I was so stressed. But it was so important to me. But at that time, I burned 300 DVDs one at a time. I printed off labels one at a time and stuck them on with a little stamper and rubbed out the whole bubbles in it just took forever. And I did a promo. And the info for winning a free wedding video package from me was all printed on the label. You have to like us on Facebook. You have to did all this stuff. and I had like 112 people enter. I went from 0 fans on Facebook to like 5,000 in a month. And I gave one free wedding away and booked, I think, 17 weddings that I gave a discount to because I was hungry and I needed the bookings. And so, it was a $1,500 wedding package. And then I ended up giving $250 off, like 17 booked weddings. And that was the very second month of me being full-time in business, and I never looked back. And it was because of a bridal show. And it was because I had a plan. I grabbed their information. And so there's a lot you can do at these bridal fairs, these bridal shows, that if you are low on bookings, they are definitely worth considering. And all of these, we have one more, but all of these, if you're not in a place of desperation, if you're thinking about this now, if you're looking ahead, these kinds of things can really, really help you out. That's all I have to say about bridal shows.
Yep. They can be very beneficial. There are certain people that swear by them, and there's other people that were like, take it or leave it. So I think it all depends what you put into it and what you try to get out of it. And then the last thing, and this is something that I did about right about the time whenever you and I met, where my bookings were pretty low, and I just decided, okay, the next person that contacts me, I'm going to give them $300 off. Just whenever they contact and say, hey, I'm running a special right now, it's $300 off. Now, one thing with this one, I did not post this on Instagram. I did not post this on website or Facebook or anything. I just said, I am going to give $300 off, because sometimes whenever someone books a wedding, it kind of gets the ball rolling. Like, I don't know why that is, and sometimes it is, but sometimes a lot of your bookings kind of come in clumps or kind of come in chunks. And so my thought was, hey, if I can just get one, maybe get that ball rolling, maybe get my confidence going, something like that. So I had this bride contact me, and it was a $3,100 package. And I said, hey, we're doing a special here. I'm going to give you $300 off. And so I did give her $300 off, and she booked me, probably because I gave her $300 off, but still I got that booking, and then I went forward from there. If you're really tight, if you're really low, if you really need bookings, do that for as long as you need to. And again, you can do that without sounding desperate. You can say, hey, I'm actually running this kind of underground promo deal just for people that are really serious and contacting me this way. Here's $300 off, $200 off, whatever it might be that will be beneficial to possibly get some bookings. So
yep, that's a great point. And I've done that before too, where, hey, if you, and like on the heels of that, if you have people that have reached out to you in the last, 3 to 6 months, if you have a really good CRM, you can see people whose weddings are soon that may have reached out to you a while back, and you can follow back up and say, hey, just want to let you know, we talked in July and my price was $3,000, but right now I'm running a special to start at $2,700. Not sure if you still need video. I know last time we talked, you weren't quite ready for video, but like warming people back up to you, if you've been in touch with them with this free content over time, and if you've built this list, it's one of those things that it never hurts to ask. And if you need the bookings, and you need that to support your family, do it. So yeah.
And here's a little bonus tip that we're going to share with you. If you just need some money today, which not too long ago I was in this situation and I needed some money today, you can reach out to clients that you already have on the books, and you can say, hey, if you pay in full, I will give you this. And then maybe give them a couple options or make them a deal that's too good to be true. One thing what I personally did is I said, if you pay in full today, I found my highest paying one at the time, I will give you, 10% off your total bill if you pay in full today. And it was
like huge.
Yeah, it was like $700 off or something like that, $650, somewhere in there. And they were like, yes, of course, we will do that. And so I got enough money, to last me for a month or two, to move forward with that because I did that. So, you can do a certain percentage off is one way you can go. Maybe you want to say, hey, my hourly, I know that, you were kind of concerned about the time of the day. Tell you what, if you pay in full today, my normal fee for an extra hour is $500. I will weigh that fee and stay an extra hour or 2 hours if you pay in full today. Or another thing you could do is, say, hey, normally raw footage is this amount. I will give it to you free if you pay in full today. Think of certain things that can help them, but also help you if they were to pay in full. And it's not a good way to run your business long term. I do not recommend this, but if you're in a bind, if you're in a situation and you just need some cash and you need it right now, you need it fast, this is definitely a way to go.
Yeah, I've had to do that so many times in the last 13 years before I got my budget in order. And so you're kind of, robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of situation if you get Bible jokes. But, it's one of those things where, yes, it helps you today. And if you're in a position in your business where you need money today, that is exactly where I would go first. And so we're having, at the time of this, in how many days is our workshop? 2 days? We're dropping this episode on Monday. Yes. We have our workshop on Wednesday,
2 days.
Is in howtofilmweddings.com/free workshops, where we're talking about ways to make more money, 5 tips to make $500 more per wedding, and just building and booking better all that kind of stuff is happening on Wednesday. So you might want to check that out. Even if you're listening a year from now, whenever you find us, you can always find that content inside of the free group at howtofilmweddings.com/free workshops. So great bonus tip. It's definitely something that you can, if you're out of money, that'll help you get that cash, which is the oxygen, so you can breathe again. Because, there's times in my business where it's like, I've got $100,000 of accounts receivable I can see it in the future, but I need money today. And it's a cash flow problem. It's not a bad business problem. And so getting somebody to pay in full or getting 2 people to pay in full, giving you that cash to breathe again so you never get back in that situation. And that is the point of today's episode. Yep. We don't want you to be low on bookings. We want you to be taking the temperature of your business every single month and looking and saying, I have a whiteboard right behind my camera and it says video weddings, 15 for January. And I know, I'm okay, I'm good. And I can look on my budget spreadsheet and, it sounds geeky or whatever, but it's like, okay, January's good, February's good, and March is good. I can see that already. So when somebody contacts me and wants me to charge, less for a wedding, I can confidently say no. And that's what really slowly builds your brand. And so, if your bookings are low, don't be discouraged. As we've talked about on the podcast before, if you need to eat a piece of humble pie instead of the entire thing. Man, I've got a lot of analogies today. I'm sorry. But if you eat a piece of humble pie and say, you know what, I'm going to drive Uber for 3 months. I'm going to do that while I'm figuring it out. Or I'm going to be a barista at a coffee shop or whatever I'm going to DoorDash or, whatever you need to do to get money, which is, that oxygen for your business while you're building it. You may have to take a couple steps back if you're behind on bookings. But once you get that money in, once you start running through some of these plans, you add this recipe plus time, and then you fast forward 12 months from now, 18 months from now. I mean, whenever Nick and I met, a couple of years ago till now, he has done all of these things right. And now every day he's messaging me, oh, somebody from Amsterdam reached out to me, or somebody from, I booked my biggest package ever. I booked 8,500 and 6,500, 7,500, and they're excited. And that doesn't just happen because Nick just raised his prices. So, you build these relationships over time. You do the branding. You know your numbers. You make sure you're not coming across as desperate. All these things add up to not being in a position where you need more bookings.
Yeah. So let me do a quick little recap here. If you are short on bookings, a few things you can do: reach out to other vendors, venues, planners, photographers, people that you have a relationship with, and say, hey, what can I do to work with you? Here are some months that maybe I'm low. Do you have any clients that might be interested in video? If they, a bonus thing you could do is, hey, if they're already hired you, if they hired me as well, I'll give them $200 off or something like that. Create specific content to help other people and then run ads with that. Maybe run a special or a promotion, a giveaway, something like that. Do bridal shows. We're kind of, I think, in that season, so that is something that you can, be a part of as bridal shows. And then you might have that last thing of giving a certain dollar amount off whenever someone inquires with you. And then you're just like, hey, I'm doing a thing right now, $300 off, something like that. Those are some things that you can do. And then that bonus one, if you need money right now, ask your clients to pay in full and you will give them something back. So as we wrap up today's podcast, we again want you to head over to CompleteWeddingVideography.com. Grab a free section of our course there on that site. It will definitely help you with your consultations. Where are you watching this video? Are you watching it on YouTube? Are you watching on Facebook? If you're watching the video somewhere, leave us a comment below. Let us know where you're watching. If you're listening to this on your favorite podcatcher, make sure you rate and review us. Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of the How to Film Weddings podcast. And until next time, we will see ya.
See ya.